All right, here's a hard pill to swallow. The American dream has got an expiration date. And for millions of retirees, the expiration date just hit because we're about to witness the biggest retirement crisis in the US history. There are no savings, no pensions, no lifeboat. And if you think this isn't your problem, well, you're wrong. Because just think about it. What happens when the entire generation cannot afford to retire? And they don't. And guess who pays up? You do. Let's start with some cold, hard facts. Half of the Americans over 55 have zero retirement savings. Social Security, well, it's projected to start running out by 2034. 65% of retirees are still carrying debt into their so-called golden years. And 1 in 5 seniors is still working because they just simply cannot afford to stop. And the dream of retiring at 65, it is dead. So how did we get here? Well, for one, pensions disappeared. Once upon a time, companies actually took care of their employees, but not anymore. And today, pensions are pretty much extinct. The 401k gamble failed. In the 80s, they told everyone to invest for the future, except they didn't tell people what would happen when market crashed. And guess what happened? It did. Multiple times. And then inflation stole the rest, because a retirement fund that looked solid in, let's say, 1990, it is barely worth half that much. And housing, healthcare, food at all-time high, which means that even people who did everything right, they're still screwed. So what happens when millions of people can't afford to retire? You don't have to guess. It's already happening. Because retirees are getting evicted because they can't afford to keep up with the rent payments. Grocery store workers, teachers, bus drivers, more than 70% of them are in their 70s. 401k withdrawals are skyrocketing, but guess what? There's not going to be much left to withdraw. And government has 34 trillion in debt. All right, so for those of you who are younger, I know what you're thinking. Well, probably that sucks, but what does it have to do with me? Everything. Because when the entire generation can't afford to retire, the whole system breaks down. Social Security, you're probably paying in a system that's not going to exist when you need it. Taxes, they're going to go up because someone needs to foot the bill. Job opportunities, they're shrinking because boomers aren't leaving the workforce. And if you think that Gen Z and Millennials are gonna retire at 65, think again. And the brutal truth is, the system isn't going to save you. So what do you actually do? Stop thinking that 401k is gonna be enough. It will not. Own actual assets like real estate, businesses, anything that can bring in cash flow. Plan for self-sufficiency, because relying on Social Security, that's a losing bet. Look, this isn't some fear-mongering. This is a wake-up call. Because the retirement system, it wasn't designed for this economy. And if you don't see the writing on the wall now, you'll be the one asking, paper or plastic, at 75 years old.